and welcome to my garden. This is Sheri from the Perennial Lot. I am going to take you on a little tour of my garden. So things are coming into bloom quite a lot. There's lots to see. So let's go. So I garden on a small urban lot in Hopkins. So I have to put as much as I can into my gardens. I've definitely learned how to try to maximize my space as much as I can. I garden for 3 reasons. 1, I grow as much as I possibly can for my small cut flower business. 2, I'm growing for wildlife, birds, pollinators, all the other bugs that are good for my soil. I garden in a fully sustainable way, do as little digging as I possibly need to, no pesticides, natural fertilizers. 3rd, and probably the most important, is for enjoyment, for myself and for others. From the patio, we come to the rest of the backyard, which includes a shade garden over in this corner. I love this actually. Flowerful hydrangeas, Ligularia Brit Marie, another one of my Japanese maples. Japanese grass, autumn bride heuchera, and Korean feathergrass. And then we come into my potager, which this is where the bulk of my cutting flowers happen. I've got a thing of sunflowers coming here, and they're getting close. Any day, that one. We've got some larkspur. This is the dahlia patch this year. Back here, we just finished up with 1 round of some flowers that I was testing this year, and now I'll be plugging in. Got my greenhouse where I've got some seedlings still growing on. I've got basils growing in there. These are Chinese forget-me-nots that are almost done. Actually, I have to cut them back. And Velouette Cosmos, and Dara, and Ballerina zinnias, and Bachelor buttons, and Tomatillo right here. Celosia, Love in a Mist. We've got snaps starting to bloom. Got some Lysianthus tucked down here. That'll really start taking off once the snaps are out of the way. Some more Love in a Mist. How beautiful you are. And some dill that seeded itself, and I'm letting it go because it's a great attractor of beneficial insects and swallowtail butterflies. So then we come back out, and we have this garden bed here that I bumped out 4 feet this spring. I did the no dig method using cardboard and soil. I needed some more space for cutting flowers, a mix of perennials, dahlias, and annuals. So stuff's still small because I literally just finished it a week and a half ago maybe. But yeah, this will fill in quickly. And now we're coming into my side yard, which I call the cutting garden. Even though my entire yard technically is a cutting garden. This is one space that's completely enclosed with hedging and fencing, and then chicken wire around the picket fence. So I know that anything that is going to be nibbled by rabbits, I put it in here. So this is a real mix of evergreens for structure, shrubs that I can cut off of, and grasses. The grasses are also going to be used. The flower heads will be used at a later date, but then in the meantime, it's great for the birds and for the bugs and things for overwintering. I fill in with perennials, native perennials where I can, bulbs, so we'll have tulips and alliums and daffodils in the spring, and then I fill in with the lilies for the summer. We have some martigons in here, which are now finished, and now the Asiatic and Orientals will be coming on. Where there is a little pocket of space goes annuals and dahlias. So, in fact, right over here, wherever we've got one of these green stakes is a dahlia. So, and it is tucked right down in there. I love this space, how it's come out. The birds really do like it in here. They can find lots and lots of little bugs to eat and caterpillars, and there's lots of good structure and hiding places for them. And then I have my bird bath or a water source. Otherwise, it's just kind of a blend. So daisies and hydrangeas and salvias and echinaceas and butterfly weed and sea holly or eryngium. And there's foxgloves that were blooming. Those are now done. Got verbascums and lady's mantle and poppies that are now done. I have peonies that come in earlier in the season. Hollyhocks, which, look at that. Little hollyhock there is just starting to bloom. You name it. Annuals that are plugged in here. There's some zinnias. There's cosmos. There's celosia. There's mahogany splendor hibiscus. There's some larkspurs. And then also we've got perennial alliums coming. And yeah, there's echinacea purpurea. And butterfly weed. This is a plant you guys should look up. It's called bush clover or lespedeza. Oh, really, really cool plant. Very hard to find. I had to order it online, but it is incredible. And then we've got the sky racer Millennia that's coming up right here. So the grass is about full-sized. And then eventually these flower heads that are starting to come right there, these will get really tall, strong stems and will be as tall as that white pine right there. So incredible. So you can see that can fit quite a lot in a small space. There's a little bit more things that are tall in this garden, and that's just because for a cutting garden, you need things to have longer stems. So that is one of the things that I have to deal with, is trying to make it look nice, but also be functional for the purpose that I need it for. I'm kind of in between on a lot of things as well. So there's stuff that's very much finished and some things that are only just coming on. And all of the dahlias and the annuals still have quite a lot of growing to do. This area is probably my favorite. It's just a nice, peaceful spot. My pots with my house plants and perennials and annuals. And I call this my white garden. It's really just mostly textural and white flowers, but mixes of plants, Japanese, maple, Sun King Aurelia. Yeah. It just feels peaceful. Big, very big viburnum. And up in this viburnum, we have this birdhouse, which we just only about a week ago had a family of wrens leave. It was so nice listening to them and watching Mommy and Daddy come back and forth with the bugs from the garden for their babies. And another way to help with wildlife is to be thinking about water sources for the pollinators too. So if you have a small bird bath, or you could fill a saucer of a pot and upright it in the garden and put some rocks in so they have a place to land. But even our pollinators need water to drink. We have begun leaving more patches of our lawn to the white clover and also some dandelions, which we keep under control a little bit just for this reason. But the added bonus that we have found has been that even my rabbit population seems to be preferring my clover and dandelions which means that my gardens are their last resort, and I love that.